I still like, having the foundations well established. I still like going over books that I read 20 years ago. So we'll just get to it. Meditation is the use of ancient and modern techniques that serve to calm the mind and the central nervous system. So how does that show up for us? Like, it can show up when we go to the doctor in concrete ways, and they say something like, great, you have great blood pressure, your stress hormones are down, your heart rate is good, solid, you're sleeping well. So those are concrete ways that we can see the benefits of meditation. And meditation is an accumulative activity. So the more you do it, the greater the results. So we also see it showing up in terms of quality of character. So we become more patient, kind, we have greater focus and concentration. We develop equanimity and resilience. And I like to use an analogy of the supertankers. So we see the supertankers in the Great Lakes, and they're ocean-going vessels. And what they do when they need to weather the storms, when they're not near port, and they want to stay the course, what they do is they drop their anchors. And they drop their anchors not with the intention to reach the sea bottom. They drop their anchors to allow them to sit deeper in the water. So it allows for drag, so they have a little bit less movement in all ways. So that's, I really think, is a cool analogy, because that's exactly what meditation does for us. It anchors us so that when which we all do, life throws us some curveballs. We don't escape from some greater stressors, some big life events, and that's what meditation does for us. It helps us anchor us to the moment so that we are neither in the past, kind of chewing and stewing and ruminating, and often can create depression, nor are we in the future, where anxieties and fears can develop and our minds are moving much too fast and thinking about a whole bunch of things that actually have nothing to do with what we are doing at the moment. So it keeps us anchored to the present with what is. And it allows us to weather our own storms with a greater sense of ease and resilience, and sometimes a little bit of grace. And again, I don't know how long all of you have practiced, but your practice will change and evolve as you change and evolve. As life moves on, so too will your practice. And it should change and evolve so that your needs at one point in time in life are going to be different than others. And there will be times when you can meditate for years on end and feel really grounded and not thrown around, mentally, emotionally. So that just be aware that that can happen and will happen, that when you feel that you need a shift in your meditation, be open to that. And, find new teachers, or speak to, if you have a meditation teacher that you like, let them know, that you want a shift, you want to shake things up a bit. Get books, get online. There's all sorts of things, but it will happen. So I'm going to give you a few little examples in my life to show you how meditation can show up for you in some big and small ways, and also how it allows for smoother transitions in life as well. And you'll find as you go along, one day you'll be like, wow, that person really used to annoy me. And, you know, it could be family, it could be whomever, but one day you'll be like, I'm not even going there. I'm just with them, I'm dealing with them, and there's no emotional tug or pull. So those are little signposts that you'll know that things are moving along. So for me, I happened to be born into a very violent home. My dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and it was really just not the most healthiest environment to be in. And when things were really going south, I happened to be introduced to meditation and yoga as a young athlete. And my coach was really ahead of the game. And he didn't, bracket or say, we're going to meditate. We're young. It probably thought we'd be like, ah. But he introduced it to us in terms of, body awareness, breath awareness, visualization. Lots of professional athletes do this as well. So it was groundbreaking for me to realize that I could actually have control over what's going on and still be sort of in the muckety-muck of, what's going on at home. But my meditation and my athletics helped anchor me to what was. And what was for me at that time was pursuing my goals of making the national team and getting into the university that I wanted to get into. And thankfully, I did that, even, despite what was going on at home. So transitioned easily from high school into university and into that new life. And then I became injured, and suddenly all those aspirations were gone. So instead of, again, maybe being angry at the coach for overworking me or being too sad that I didn't get to pursue my dreams, it was just like, okay, I can't control that. What I can control is what I'm going to do, and that is refocus, find new goals, and move on. And that's what I did. So I finished school, got in the workforce, met my husband along the way, and we decided to get married, transitions. 2 weeks prior to our wedding day, my maid of honor phoned, and she said, yeah, I'm pulling out. And I was like, 2 weeks before. Really? Really? You can't wait. And it turned out that she was leaving her husband. And I was like, okay, as excuses go, I get that. It would be too difficult for her to be up there supporting me. And her husband happened to be the best man, who happened to be my husband's brother. So there was all this drama. And I was like, I had about 2 seconds of that. But I couldn't go there, because what was important was my relationship with my husband and being present on that day. So we let everybody else do the talking and the crying and everything, and we stayed focused. We had a great day. And John was there, Danaher, so he helped make it fun. So transition into married life. Transition from living in downtown Toronto to moving to my husband's hometown of 7,500 people. Everybody knows you. But, I still maintained my practice, and it evolved with me as my activities changed. So transition into motherhood. There was absolutely no way I was going to be able to maintain that structure. But what I could do was, and I just shifted for a number of years, it was just breath awareness. Just breath awareness when I was rocking her, when I was nursing her, when I, was walking her. That went on for years. Not the nursing part, but like the breath awareness. So I did that for years because that was all my brain could manage at that time. So transitioned. Our daughter goes to school. I start a business of, I had a cook shop and a cafe, very busy, 10 years. Sold the store. But during that time, my meditation morphed again. So what I chose to do was, before I opened the doors, I sat at my desk and I meditated. So it could have been 10 breaths if I felt that's all I could do. It could have been 10 minutes. It was whatever it was for me that day, but I started my day with a meditation. And I'll explain something I like to teach my students or suggest to students, is that you bookend your day. And I know it's a lot to ask, but you can bookend your day with meditation in whatever way, form, and amount of time that's available for you. So you start the day, whether that's before you get out of bed, before, you open your bedroom door and the kids and whatever, or before you answer the first phone call. You start your day with a meditation, and it sets the tone for the day. A whole bunch of stuff happens in the day, but it sets you on the right path. It sets the tone. And then in the afternoon, you repeat. Whether that's, again, whether you're on the train going home, or whether you're before you leave the office or get out of your car. And what that second meditation does is it helps to digest the day's events. All of the stuff that we have been experiencing, that our bodies have witnessed, participated in, the stress, physical, mental, emotional activity during the day, the afternoon session, and again, it could be 2 minutes, will assist in digesting the events. And it's important, this goes with any meditation, the digestion of events. Because just like with food, if it's poorly digested or there's an accumulation, toxicity can build and illness occur. So it's the same for us. If we do not take the time to allow for a digestion of the day's events. And it also sets us up into having a more pleasant evening and calmer going into our evening's activities, whether that's carpooling or hockey practice or whatever, or just being present and aware and conscious of your family. So that's pretty cool. And then again, it allows you to be in a better frame for a good night's sleep. So science tells us that sleep is the number one way that the body heals. Second is meditation. So, child, career, I sell my store, we move to the country, we build a house, it's on a river, in a forest, and it's beautiful, and then it blew up, and I was in it. So things changed again, and everything changed. I was physically, mentally, emotionally a mess. And my meditation practice, I don't know where it went. I could not hold a thought. I was a nervous wreck. But yet I knew that was what was going to assist in any way. Everything else I felt like I had no control over. But I did know that that somehow I could bring some form of stability in my life if I meditated. But how? I tried my breath and I couldn't find my breath. It was up here and makes me anxious thinking. But so I was open again to shifting how I was going to meditate. And I remembered that I loved chanting. And specifically for me, and this is, I recommend for you, always choose your form of practice that resonates with you. And it can change from day to day. So what I found was that chanting silently, usually, but often I found some great things online, listening to some beautiful people. It was Om. And the vibration of Om was very healing in all ways. And I loved listening to it. I still do it. But for about 4 years, that was all my meditation. That was all I could manage. And then I evolved as I was healing to be able to reintroduce a more formal practice of sitting down and, body awareness, breath awareness, vision, whatever that was. But it took a long time. So, how was I going to respond? My quest in life then turned into, how could I heal from the inside out? And meditation puts us in that place so that we can heal from the inside out, that we settle the central nervous system so that we calm the mind. We allow the body to do what it was built to do. We heal. If people can walk or talk again after a stroke or car accidents, I believe that I could heal as well. I had a 2 percentile working memory 2 years and 5 years post-explosion. And the prognosis was you will very shortly see your decline into early onset dementia. So that wasn't great news. But again, I just believed that if I stayed the course, because I was seeing moments where I knew I was healing, I was becoming more aware. My cognitive abilities were starting to return. I was able to be in a conversation with more than one person, because before it was too much. I couldn't track conversations. The other part of that is that I wanted, again, to transition, if that was going to be my next stage in life, to witness my own decline. I wanted to transition in a way that would not create more drama or trauma to my family. So, mindfully deciding to tease out ruthlessly what was in my life that was positive, what was nourishing, and what was depleting. So you can use this as a form of meditation as well. In a more contemplative way, allow yourself the time to sit quietly and just review, how do you nourish yourself? Self-care. So I started thinking things like, obviously, how do I nourish myself? Food. That was okay. I'm a good cook. I always was very mindful of how I prepared food and what I fed myself and my family. Check. Sleep. That was good. Brain injuries, you sleep all the time. And then it just morphed into really good, positive sleeping habits. Turning off the TV an hour before, that kind of thing, so that my brain wasn't busy just before I got into bed. Then I thought, so central nervous system, right? Command central. So everything we see and hear and touch and feel affects us energetically. So what was I listening to? Music. Did I have to have CNN on all the time? No, it's not so good. Not so good for anyone. So, sounds. I began to enjoy silence. I married a man who was one of 7 kids, and they're like a bunch of puppy dogs when they get together. And I used to be okay in that environment. And then I just wasn't as good. So sometimes I realized I have to give myself permission to not be in the fray. People. So that's a good example. So I was becoming aware of even energetically how some people were affecting me that before the accident they didn't bother me. Or if they did bother me, I'd be like in my head. I knew that I needed to take care of myself in all ways. So recognizing that you do have to make choices, mindfully choosing how you receive nourishment in the world. So visually, what movies was I watching? TV. What books do you pull off the shelf to read? Are they inspiring for you? Do they make you feel better or help you want to be better? I mean, we don't obviously have to be reading self-help all the time, but I was recognizing that some of the books that I was reading or movies that I would watch with my husband, I like rom-coms and my husband loves action and all the whatever genres, but I can't watch them anymore. So recognizing that's okay because it wasn't nourishing me. So again, I invite you to allow that perhaps to be part of your mindfulness practice. That you can be mindful not just in the moment of what you're doing, but you can be mindful about how you move about the day. So really, mindfully choosing how to nourish your body mentally, emotionally, and physically. So, that being said, we will enjoy a meditation together. I'm just going to grab a little. I invite you to, yes, make yourselves comfortable if you need to have a little stretch. And allow the eyes to close if that's available to you. If you prefer, you may allow the eyes to be just cast down, heavily lidded. And breathing through the nostrils. And allow for a few long, deep breaths. At your own pacing. Allowing yourself to come more fully into the environment, into this present moment. Allowing the breath to anchor you, sustain you. And you can allow the breath to return to its normal pacing. And we'll begin a breath awareness practice by noticing the breath as you receive it through the nostrils. Noticing the cool air with every inhalation. And noticing the warm, moist air with every exhalation. And sometimes we notice different sensations with the breath as it presents itself through the nostrils and sinuses. Spend a few minutes witnessing the breath as it arrives and leaves through the nostrils. And if you ever lose your focus, just gently bring your awareness back to the breath. And you may now bring your attention and awareness to the breath as it finds its way to the chest cavity, noticing the gentle rise and fall of the chest wall with every inhalation and exhalation. And now allow for your awareness to follow the breath all the way down past the nostrils, through the chest cavity, as it makes its way deep into the pelvic region, feeling an expansion of the pelvis, a softening of the belly with every inhalation, and noticing a slight draw of the belly to the spine with every exhalation. Remembering to bring your awareness back to the meditation, back to the breath when the mind wanders. And you may now allow for the breath to present itself in its normal pacing. And we will begin a body relaxation and awareness meditation. Bring your awareness to the top of the head, allowing the scalp to relax. Noticing the forehead, relax. Softening the corners of the eyes. The space between the eyes. Relaxing the mouth and the tongue. Relax the jaw. Relax the face. Noticing the shoulders, and allow for gravity to ease them lower from the ears. There is a softening and a relaxation, drawing us deeper to the moment and closer to the body. Relaxing the arms and the hands. Bringing your awareness to the spine, perhaps allowing for a gentle extension. Noticing the hips, allowing them to settle further into your seat, knowing that you're supported. You may relax further. Noticing the knees, the shins, the calves. Noticing the feet as they meet the floor. Can you feel any part of the underside of the foot as it meets the sole of the shoe? Allowing the body to be present for you right here. In awareness and relaxation. Notice how your body presents itself to you. Noticing if there are any areas that are still a little tense. You may bring the awareness there now and breathe into those spaces. Bring your awareness back to the breath as it presents itself to you. And we will begin a short mantra meditation. And mantras are a tool or an instrument for the mind. And today we will use the mantra So Hum. And allow with each inhalation, silently repeating So Hum. Pardon me, with every inhalation repeating So. And with every exhalation silently repeating Hum. There's a lovely vibrational quality to this mantra. So, hum. And continue the meditation at your own pacing. And remembering to bring your awareness and attention back to the mantra when the mind wanders, which it will. Gently refocus. And you may release the mantra and take a couple of more breaths here, just checking in, finding the breath wherever it is easiest for you to meet. And when you're ready, you may open the eyes at your own pace. Sometimes I like to just flutter the eyes to bring me back into the present. And we receive the space once again. So it's always so nice, those moments right after a meditation, and the effects are so present, so obvious for us. We feel a calm mind. We notice our mind is calmer. We feel the settling of the central nervous system. And it's energy. And it's a form of communication, even though we may not know it or say it. So I want to talk a little bit about communication and how we communicate energetically. So we all know what it's like when you enter a room, or I should say someone enters a room, and they are in a foul mood. And you kind of just want to look the other way, and there's a lot of energy coming in with that person. And you know before they open their mouth a lot of what's going on inside. And we also know what it's like when someone comes into a room or is in our presence and they're smiling and they want to see you, and that's a different form of energy. So you can also include this as a form of mindfulness practice, that becoming aware of your own energetic input and output. Again, how do we fuel the body? What are the forms of energy do we bring in and do we express? So when we choose to come from a place of awareness, of more stillness, we cultivate a spaciousness. And it happens naturally. I mean, I'm talking a lot slower. It happens naturally. We create this spaciousness between thoughts, between words, and between actions. So that, for me, it showed up as I was healing and as I was starting to notice that my body and mind were responding equally, so that I wasn't frenetic in my speech. I wasn't moving around and carrying this tension that I was carrying. And I found that obviously very inspiring, and it made me feel like I obviously was on the right path. But it also just feels like a better place to be. It doesn't mean you're dumbed down. It doesn't mean you're a dullard. It means you can actually take in what's going around you and choosing whether you want to react or respond. And that's what the spaciousness creates for you. Those moments before we can catch some words that maybe we don't need to say. Maybe they don't contribute to a conversation in any way, so we don't need to say them. We recognize that. We catch thoughts. You will get to the point where you will catch your thought wanting to go into a negative, stream. And because you have created this spaciousness, you will know, again, as I said, whether you are going to be reactive, which ends up not even being a choice. It ends up that you become a responsive individual with how you move, how you speak, how you choose to act, what you choose to do. So this directly affects the quality of our experiences because we are thoughtful and responsive, and we're not all over the place and reactive. And people will notice that. We develop a discernment in what we want to keep and what we want to lose in all ways. So it becomes really clear. Lines become clear. Communication coming in becomes very clear. You develop this unique, skillful discernment so that you can sift, sort, and share what you wish to in a higher way, consciously, not accidentally. So the quality of our communication expands and deepens. And we have available to us in this spaciousness a creativity, an intelligence, and a wisdom that makes itself available so that problems that were nagging at us, can be solved without this tension attached to it. Because we're getting out of our monkey mind and we're getting away from our habitual patterns of knowing what we know and continuing. It's this problem. And yet when you allow for that spaciousness to occur, then you allow for your own innate intelligence to show itself. Because you are your life's experiences. And you have available to you everything you need. You just have to put yourself in the right position to access it. So therefore, we're more effective in our roles as parents, as spouses, as animal lovers, as, peers and employees of TransUnion. We are better in our roles. So going back to how we felt at the beginning, or when we finished our meditation, just remembering that how we communicate and what we say is as important with how we say it. And again, we all know what it's like if someone's either condescending or shaming us or blaming us, then you want to shut down. You just don't even want to listen. But you can't. And then we also know what it's like when someone offers suggestions and wisdom, and we are open. So being aware of our tone is important. I grew up, as you know, not in the most hospitable environment, and I also had 2 older brothers. So it was like, it was a bit crazy. So the way I communicated was much more, I'm going to say, like much more in a masculine way. My brother's like, you got something to say, you say it. Well, that's not how women tend to communicate. And that's really not how any of us need to communicate. In negatively, in aggressively and forcefully. So recognizing all the ways that we communicate energetically, tone, what we say. Are we verbally responsible? So just being mindful, again, bringing that into your practice, being mindful of how you communicate. So just a couple more things. We have 10 minutes left. Choice points. Choice points are a notion that was taught to me by my, take some water, by my mentor, Sarah McLean. And she talks about choice points as those times during our meditation when we notice that our minds are drifting and that we choose to come back to the present moment. There are times when we're in our meditation and we are choosing to maybe go that way and letting ourselves finish the list, but you're doing it mindfully. And then you're coming back to the present moment. So that was how she defined choice points. I extrapolated on this a bit, and I think we have choice points every day, all day. So choosing, obviously, coming back to the present moment. When we find maybe that we're letting our minds go and get a little too busy, just coming back to the task at hand. So we're choosing to be present, aware, and responsive, not reactive. Choice points can even go a little further than that. So we can choose to elevate a situation, choose to elevate the present moment by how we respond in that moment. So it could look like this. It could be, one of your peers is asked to take on a project and present it to some senior personnel in the office, and you wanted to do it. And the choice point, the obvious one is like, choice point, come back to present, not be, I wanted it, and not be angry and not carry that forward. The choice point to just be with what is. You can elevate it further by walking down the hall, congratulating your peer. Choice point, elevating something that happened in your day that perhaps in the past would have caused a little bit of annoyance or mental chatter, but choosing to elevate the situation. You can go one step further in that example, and you can be generous of spirit and offer your full cooperation enthusiastically. I'm here for you, good for you, give me a call if you need anything. Choice point. So as you can see through meditation and mindfulness, we are developing not only the concrete benefits of meditation, but those beautiful aspects of our humanity, of character, that change your life and everybody's life around you, just by choosing wisely. So really what we're doing is we're choosing to be the best versions of ourselves. And everybody benefits. So lean in or sit back. So Lean In is the book written by Sheryl Sandberg. It's still, I think, in hardcover. It's a very well-known and popular book, great book. So Sheryl Sandberg, big exec, female in the tech world. Not a lot of women there. And it was a really inspiring book. And her thesis or her main point is like, if you lean in, if you lean into what is in front of you, what needs your full attention, then you will get to where you need to go. Lean in, and you can do it. And well, I think we all have to do that in life. We have projects due, or doesn't matter. There are always going to be times when we need to really tuck in with our full awareness and concentration. A lot of energy involved. We do need to lean in to get a job done. But just like living in the Windy City, when you are leaning in to the rain and the snow and the wind, doing that for a long time, you got to walk a few blocks or a mile or two, that takes its toll. That takes its toll physically, mentally. You feel like you've been run over. And the corollary, or what happens with that, is that we lose perspective, right? We're only like this, so we might be walking into people or walking into traffic, who knows. But leaning in too long, too hard, takes its toll. So we need to remember to sit back. We need to remember that when we give ourselves permission to sit back in our seat of awareness, we again create spaciousness of thought, focus, creativity is available, but they're not available when we have the blinders on. So just remembering that as well, that balance in life. And that's sitting back with intention. And really what we're doing is we're resetting, we're refocusing, and we're rebooting. And listen, I facilitated a complete reboot in my own life, physically, mentally, emotionally. So that's pretty cool. It can be done. So just to recap a little, and then if you have any questions, allow and know that your meditation practice will evolve and change as you do. And be open to that, be excited about that, because that is a part of you that wants to move and expand a little further. Be mindful and aware of how you nurture yourself, how you take care of yourself in all ways. Remember to be mindful of your energetic input and output, how you communicate, how we communicate. Remember that you do have choices, choice points, coming back to the present, dealing with what is, not with what we are afraid might happen, or what we're angry or sad about that did happen. Choosing to be present for your meditation, choosing to be present in the moment for your work, for your family, for your friends. We all know what it's like when you're talking to somebody. You guys are the best. You can tell you're all meditators because you're focused. But when you're talking to somebody and they're like looking around, or you know that they're waiting for you to stop so they can talk. So being, aware of that. Choice point, coming back to the present, giving your full attention. And finally, leaning in mindfully, consciously, leaning into the task at hand, but ensuring that you take the time to sit deeply in your own awareness, because that's when the magic happens. So anyway, thank you very much for being here, all of you. And if you have any questions, one thing I do want to quickly mention, I will leave my contact information. The reason I do that is, well, I'll leave my website and stuff, but book suggestions, if you get stuck in meditation. I've had a lot of teachers over the years, and they have all made themselves available to me to this day. So if ever you have a question or want a recommendation, feel free to just email me. Oh, any questions?
You had mentioned chanting, just starting to explore chanting. But so I was curious. I noticed a difference, and maybe it is just me, but I find it more calming to verbalize it versus thinking in my head. It is so. That's just. At some point, I'll evolve to being able to get something out of it.
No. I think that's a great comment, because at the beginning, it changes. Like when I feel that and I'm affected by weather a lot. I get migraines, so chanting aloud, that vibrational quality, you are probably noticing. The vibrational quality of verbalizing it gives us a different experience. So there are some times when I feel like I need somebody else to lead the chant. And that's how I just shake it up. Sometimes I want to lead it, and I want to do the focus, and I want to experience the vibrational qualities of that particular mantra. So that's the cool thing about chanting, is that there's all sorts of different mantras to use, that they meet you energetically in different ways. So yeah, you're right on, and it'll just stay the course. And if you ever feel like you want someone else to lead it, then there's so much online, so much. Yeah, good for you. Wow. Someone else? Everybody good? Lunch is over. You have to go back to work mindfully, calmly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks for taking some pictures and